This story is about the 2004 to 2005 playoff run of the Philadelphia Phantoms. But before I talk about that, in the 1995 to 1996 Philadelphia Flyers season, it was revealed that the Flyers cut ties with their minor league affiliate, the Hershey Bears, and there would be an all-new minor league affiliate, which would be a new expansion team called the Philadelphia Phantoms. The Phantoms would make their debut in October 1996, and they would play their home games at the Spectrum. The 1996 to 1997 season was truly exciting, but that was only the beginning. In 1998, the Philadelphia Phantoms captured their first Calder Cup by defeating the St. John's Flames, and the Spectrum went crazy, and the fans were excited, and there was a huge parade down Broad Street. Many years later, the 2003 to 2004 Philadelphia Flyers and Philadelphia Phantoms would be playoff-bound that year. The Philadelphia Flyers' first opponent would be the New Jersey Devils, and they beat them in 5 games. The Philadelphia Phantoms' first opponent would be the Norfolk Admirals, and they would be eliminated. In the second round, they would play the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. Unfortunately, it was a heartbreaking exit from the 2004 Calder Cup playoffs. While the Phantoms season came to an end, the Philadelphia Flyers would eliminate the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the Flyers would be eliminated by the Tampa Bay Lightning. Even though the Flyers got an epic Game 6 overtime win, the Philadelphia Flyers were eliminated in Game 7. In late summer of 2004, the NHL would cancel the 2004 to 2005 NHL season because of a disagreement with the NHL and the NHL Players Association. A strike was put in effect. I myself was disappointed that I wouldn't get to watch the Flyers on TV or go to Flyers games. My dad was also disappointed, but luckily me and my dad decided to go to some Philadelphia Phantoms games. That year, the Phantoms would have games at the Spectrum and the Wachovia Center. The 2004 to 2005 Philadelphia Phantoms would start out slow, losing to the Hartford Wolfpack and the Bridgeport Sound Tigers. But after that, they would have one of the biggest winning streaks in AHL history that would last from October 22nd to November 27th. Me and my dad went to the home opener on October 22nd, and the Phantoms defeated the Hamilton Bulldogs 5-3. Our next game was the Hershey Bears, and it was a 4-2 Phantoms victory. On January 28th, my dad, my mom, and my sister saw the Phantoms defeat the Hartford Wolfpack 5-1 at the Spectrum, and that was a game where I got my first Philadelphia Phantoms jersey. I knew I was hooked, and I was beginning to forget about the canceled Philadelphia Flyers season. During the season, I was officially in the last year of high school. It was truly an exciting time in my life, not just from a Philadelphia Phantom standpoint, but in my life as well, and I loved it. Except the time I injured my femur in February of 2005. But I didn't let it stop me from supporting the Phantoms, even though I was at home with a cast. Luckily, the cast could officially come off. On April 8th, me, my dad, and my nephew saw the Phantoms lose to the Sound Tigers 3-1. But that was a little bump in the road. A week later, the playoffs officially began, and their first opponent would be the Norfolk Admirals. Me and my dad went to the first 2 games of that series. The Phantoms won the first 2 games, but Norfolk made it interesting. But the Phantoms eliminated them in 6 games. The Phantoms' next opponent was the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, the team that eliminated them in the 2004 Calder Cup playoffs. The Phantoms won Game 1, and after listening to the game on my computer, I woke up the next day and I went to my senior prom, and it was truly a good time. The day after that, me, my dad, and my sister went to Game 2, and the Phantoms got the win. The Phantoms and the Penguins would alternate wins in Games 3 and 4. A week later, I ended up getting a really bad cold that lasted for a couple weeks. But I wasn't going to miss Game 5. The night of Game 5, I got my computer and I listened to the game. Unfortunately, the Phantoms didn't have a lot of televised games. There were a few. And if you wanted to watch or listen to a Phantoms game, you would have to go to a website called B2 Network. In Game 5, the Penguins were taking it to the Phantoms, and they had a 4-1 lead, and it would remain that way going into the third period until the Phantoms scored 6 unanswered goals, completing the 7-4 victory. Truly a memorable comeback, and a memorable win, eliminating the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins in front of the Phantoms faithful. And my reaction at home was priceless. I couldn't believe it. Another week later, I was feeling better and I was preparing for the next series with the Providence Bruins. Not only that, but I had a graduate banquet for our graduating class, and it was truly an honor. And at that time, we also had graduation rehearsal and our trip on the Spirit of Philadelphia. Even with everything going on, I still was thinking about the next playoff series. The Phantoms' next opponent was the Providence Bruins, and they would face off in the conference finals. I recall going to a few of the games in that series, one with my dad and one with my dad and my nephew. Being a Phantoms fan, I noticed a lot of great players such as Jeff Carter, Mike Richards, R.J. Umberger, Boyd Kane, Ben Stafford, goaltender Antero Niittymaki, Randy Jones, tough guys Wade Skolny, Riley Coate, Josh Gratton, Ben Eager, and more. But everyone had their eyes on Carter and Richards. The Phantoms eliminated the Providence Bruins in 6 games, and they became Eastern Conference champions, and they made it into the Calder Cup Finals for the first time since 1998. As I was preparing for my high school graduation, the Phantoms' next opponent would be the Chicago Wolves, and me and my dad had tickets to Game 4. I remember my friend Anthony decided to watch Game 1 at my house, and it was very close, but it was the Phantoms that took Game 1. I don't recall if it was in overtime, but the important thing is they won. They also won Game 2 and Game 3, and the Phantoms just needed to win one more game. A week later, my dad got tickets for Game 4, and I had one more week of graduation rehearsal. But it was all worth it, because a couple days later me and my dad went to Game 4 of the Calder Cup Finals. I was truly excited. That night, I wore my Phantoms jersey, and we were headed to the Wachovia Center. And when we got there, it was a full house of people wearing purple t-shirts, and I was able to get one, because they were giving them out. I was waiting patiently. Once the game started, the Phantoms were focused, and they took it right to the Chicago Wolves. The Phantoms were not going to be denied because the Phantoms showed the Wolves what Philly is all about. That night, the Phantoms officially became the 2005 Calder Cup champions with a 5-2 victory, and it was truly a beautiful thing getting to see the Phantoms hoist the Calder Cup. This was the first time I actually saw a team win a championship live at the arena. It felt like Christmas that night, and I have to say this truly was a great moment in Philly sports history and a moment I will never forget. The next day, I watched Action News, and it was a wonderful celebration. A city that had a Flyers season taken away from them got a celebration. The Phantoms gave Philly a beautiful moment. That year, I officially graduated, and I said my goodbyes to my classmates and my teachers and thanked them for everything they taught me. I was truly happy, but inside I didn't want to say goodbye yet, but it was truly the best year ever. A year that started out with disappointment turned into an epic adventure. Many months later, the Flyers made their return for the 2005-2006 season, and Jeff Carter and Mike Richards made their debut. In October of 2005, my dad and my mom went to the Phantoms home opener, and we not only saw an overtime win, we saw the Calder Cup banner get raised, and it was spectacular. It was a purple rain.